I see. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. I am your host, Brian McFadden. Rich, I feel like we were literally just doing this a few hours ago because, we were. But we have an actual NFL game to digest. This is going to be an exciting show. This is the first Friday show of the season. We're going to be dissecting the week ahead, making our game picks, maybe talking a little sports betting. I'm joined by the pro football demon, Rich Jodice. Rich, how you feeling going into week one?
I'm feeling great. That for a game that was pretty much a blowout, that was such an exciting game. It was good to watch real football again and just see Josh Allen stiff arm somebody straight to hell.
Let's get the obvious out of the way. You and I were way wrong on our prediction for this game. I predicted that the Bills would win the Super Bowl. I'm clear on that. I think they're the best team in the NFL. I just didn't think it would happen that soon. So we're going to get into that. Let's not get into the details yet because you know the format. We've got 30 minutes to discuss that. We're going to stick to that format. We do have our producer Anthony back. Looks like taking one day off. Got him a little rusty, a little mess up with that video intro. Anthony, you knew I wasn't going to let that go. But yeah, let's go ahead and get ready to get started with the show. First Friday of the 2022 NFL season. 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football starts now. So let's go ahead, do the obvious. Let's talk about the game. You'll see that our photo behind our timer is that Josh Allen just brutal stiff arm there. First, I'll hear from you, Rich. What are your thoughts on the game? What quick takeaways?
I was surprised at how the Bills defense played with their with the state of their secondary. They didn't miss a beat. I mean, it's just they look like Godzilla out there. And the fact that they did this to the reigning Super Bowl champs, who arguably improved their roster in the offseason, it's scary. It's scary. You're a Dolphins fan. I'm a Jets fan. I do not want to play this team once.
No.
Forget about playing them twice or deal with them in the years to come. They look like a force to be reckoned with. The Rams, on the other hand, I mentioned it last night. Is Stafford's elbow bothering him? Some of his throws were pretty off. So, I mean, I don't know. That I think that could be something, if this continues in the coming weeks, that's something that we might hear pop up at some point.
I do want to address that, but first I want to talk about the winners. I want to talk about the Bills. One thing that we did mention on last night's preview show, if there was one thing that Buffalo could do to really disrupt, and the one question mark was those new offensive linemen for the Rams. Andrew Whitworth retired. Joe Noteboom was the new starter at left tackle. And this upgraded pass rush, which already was one of the better, as far as pressure rates, people don't realize this. They may not have had a lot of sacks, but the Bills had one of the better pressure rates in the NFL last season. And then what did they do? Oh, they add all-world Von Miller. And it showed right away. I think that's the reason Stafford. I'm not saying his elbow isn't an issue, but he just looked uncomfortable. He was making bad decisions. That has nothing to do with his elbow. He was hyper-targeting Cooper Kupp, who, by the way, is still amazing. Anybody who said, he's going to have a regression, what did he have, like 15 targets, like 11 13 catches?
It was, yeah.
It's insane. So Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp, guys. Keep that in mind. But it was the pass rush, the amount of pressure that he was under forced him to be bad Matthew Stafford. We've seen bad Matthew Stafford in Detroit. Saw him a little bit with LA last year even. We saw that because the pass rush was relentless, and that makes the Bills that much scarier. They already had one of, if not the best offense in the NFL. It didn't matter that their secondary was young and unproven. It didn't matter that Tre'Davious White didn't play. Their pass rush was insane. They had 7 sacks of Stafford, and Jordan Phillips, former Bill, played with the Cardinals the last 2 years, actually led the team in pressures. When a guy like that is leading your team, Von Miller had 2 sacks.
He seems ageless, by the way. I mean, worth every penny they spent on him.
Yeah, agreed. But how does anybody stop this going forward?
Not with a running game, apparently. It doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to run the ball on them. Right. Again, you mentioned the Rams' offensive line, so that could be a factor. Will they be able to do that against every offensive line they face? Probably not, but they will be a force. Yeah, this was scary. I don't think there is a quarterback out there that didn't watch this, that has the Bills on their schedule and didn't bite their lower lip a little bit and say,
Yeah, the thing I really want to watch as the season goes on, with regards to these two teams specifically, is was the Bills pass rush just that good, or was the Rams offensive line just that bad, or a combination of the two? So as you guys are watching these games going forward, that's what I'm particularly paying attention to. I've got that game out of my system. We've actually watched NFL. Are you ready to preview the rest of the games coming up for week 1?
Let's go. I'm excited.
All right. So as usual, as the format of the show, Rich and I haven't discussed how we're going to do this. We're winging it. I have my pick. So you guys might have seen on Twitter, I have a VIP Run Your Pool weekly pick'em that I'm doing. And by the way, you're going to see a lot more on that. We're actually going to be partnering with Run Your Pool next week. So keep an eye out. We're going to have a promotional code or something to give you guys a discount on Run Your Pool. Fantastic platform for doing NFL pools. So I am going to bring this up on the screen. This is how we're going to do it every week, unless it doesn't go well today, and then whatever. We'll call an audible next week. So these are my actual picks. I'll be sharing them on Twitter every Thursday. Rich and I will be discussing them, and he hasn't seen these yet, which is probably why he's leaning in a little bit to see what the picks are, unless he saw them on Twitter yesterday.
I enhanced my screen.
So how we're going to do is I want to go through each game. I will say why I picked that particular game, we got the point spread on there. I want your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree. Does that sound like a good way to get this started?
Sounds like a good one. Okay, so we're going by point spread. We're not just going straight games.
Yeah, I want to comment on who I think will win. But this particular exercise is against the spread. So keep that in mind, because you'll see all the way at the bottom. We'll start there. Let's start with the Seattle-Denver, because it's Monday Night Football, and it's obvious I'm not picking the Seahawks to win. I'm picking them to cover. So first I want to give my thoughts on why. So I have the points on Run Your Pool. Now, your particular sports betting site might be different, but Run Your Pool, I think they use BetMGM. I'd have to get back to you on that. 6.5 points is the point spread. The reason I'm picking Seattle is the Seahawks playing at home, a very, very hyped up crowd, because Russell Wilson's making his return. And on top of that, I just think that Pete Carroll is going to really go into this game trying to control the clock. I think that you're going to see a lot of Rashad Penny. This offensive line is starting 2 rookies, but the one thing, the reports coming out of training camp, is that they ran the ball pretty well in training camp. But we know who's playing quarterback, Geno Smith, and his backup is Drew Lock. So I think Carroll knows that. He wants to control the clock. I think Denver will win the game, but I think they will win by less than a touchdown. What are your thoughts?
Right off the bat, I'm going against you.
All right. That's why we do this show together.
This is one of the games that I think is going to be an absolute bloodbath. As the Seattle crowd can be as boisterous as they want, they still have Geno Smith as their quarterback. Pete Carroll can try to run the ball and control the clock as much as he wants. But I don't think the Seattle defense is going to be good enough to stop Russ. Russ knows this defense fairly well. He kind of knows Pete Carroll fairly well. And I think Russ, this isn't just a matter of Nathaniel Hackett calling plays. I think Russ is going to have the option to do whatever he wants if he sees something that he can exploit. So I think Denver is just going to score early and often, and I don't think Seattle's going to be able. They might have a couple of garbage time touchdowns, or deep pass to DK Metcalf when the game's way out of reach. But I have Denver winning by 10 or more. So
and honestly, most people do. This is not a popular pick, just so you know. So if you want to go with more of the consensus is actually picking Denver to cover this spread. I just have a feeling it'll be slightly closer than that. Let's go on to the next game. We'll start top bottom. I just wanted to start with the Monday night game, and because that was kind of the obvious one. So obviously we were both way wrong with the Rams and Buffalo. We've already talked about that game. Let's go to New Orleans Saints at Atlanta. The Saints are 5.5 point favorites. I have the Saints covering that. I'm a little bit higher on Atlanta than the consensus in general. But I think that Saints defense is going to make the difference here. I think Saints are also going to go run heavy, because you've got that's where you have the proven talent with Alvin Kamara. Is Michael Thomas going to be healthy? Chris Olave's a rookie. Jameis Winston, we always know what that experiment might end up like. So I think they'll go run heavy. This could be a top 5 defense. Atlanta's starting Marcus Mariota and has problems along the offensive line and other things. What are your thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, I agree with this. I think the Saints. I don't think the Saints are going to have too much of a problem with Atlanta. Jameis Winston is iffy from time to time. We know he makes some boneheaded decisions, but Atlanta's defense isn't one that scares me. So you give the ball to Alvin Kamara, he'll be able to handle this. They have. I think he's going to hit Chris Olave for maybe a long touchdown or two, perhaps. So yeah, I don't think, and the Saints defense, like you said, they are much better than I think people give them credit for. I think they're going to handle that Atlanta offense without any issue. So this one's an easy one for me.
And I will say this on the Atlanta side, if there is one strength on the defense, probably their only strength, it's actually in the secondary. AJ Terrell is suddenly one of the top cornerbacks in the entire NFL, and Casey Hayward, from a grading standpoint on PFF, actually was one of the more solid veteran corners last year, but they don't have much of anything in the way of pass rush outside of maybe Grady Jarrett. So I just see this is more of a run-heavy game. Let's go on to the Baltimore Ravens visiting your New York Giants, the Flacco Bowl. I don't know if
Jets.
New York Jets.
Let's get it right, buddy. Come on.
Mentally, I'm already past the Jets. I apologize to my Jets friend here. Yes, at the New York Jets, the Flacco Bowl. Zach Wilson is going to be out. Flacco's starting against his old team. Baltimore is getting 7.5 points to win. I have picked them to exceed that. What are your unbiased or biased thoughts?
I'm trying to be unbiased here. I think the Jets defense is massively upgraded from last year. I mean, they had no pass rush to speak of last year. That should be corrected. Offensively, to be honest, I don't know what to expect from them offensively. It almost doesn't seem like much of a downgrade to have Joe Flacco at quarterback. This is a Joe Flacco revenge game, so that always can play a role. Who knows what his emotions are going to be like playing against his old team for the first time in his career. I would take the Jets getting the points because I think it's going to be right around there, right around 6-7 points. Baltimore's going to win, but that 7.5, I lean towards the Jets. So I'm going to take the Jets with the points.
Okay, I'll pretend that's not a homer pick. We will see. Yeah, 7.5. I tend to shy away from big spreads in general, but I'm high in the Ravens. I have them winning the North. I just think that their issues were on the injury side and not necessarily a roster, and certainly not a coaching aspect with John Harbaugh. And I think the Jets, they just lost Dwayne Brown, who won't be starting this game, who was supposed to replace Mekhi Becton, who is now out for the season. I love the Jets for the future, but I'm going to go with Baltimore on this game. Let's go over to sticking in the AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Super Bowl losing Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati getting 6.5, or Pittsburgh getting 6.5 points here. The reason I chose Pittsburgh, I do have Cincinnati winning this game, so we're clear, but this is a point spread thing. I have trouble believing that in a division game where Pittsburgh still has probably a talent of a top 5 defense, in a division game that Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to beat the Steelers, Mike Tomlin-led Steelers, by a touchdown or more. That's really my thing here. So I've got Cincy winning, but Pittsburgh covering. Your thoughts?
I think I'm going to go Cincinnati here, only because, again, I don't know what to expect from Pittsburgh's offense. I don't have high hopes that they're going to be able to move the ball effectively. Deontay Johnson, he's injured. We don't know if he's going to play. Then you have
George Pickens season.
Mitch Trubisky throwing to George Pickens. George Pickens is a rookie. We don't,
True.
Pat Freiermuth can be a factor in this game, but I don't know. You're going to convince me Mitch Trubisky is better than what we saw from Ben Roethlisberger last year. Maybe he can move a little better, but Cincinnati's coming off that Super Bowl loss. I think they're going to want to come out and make a statement in a division game, and I think this is going to be a blowout by Cincinnati.
By the way, I'm going to say a couple things real quick. One, we are going to track our picks between Rich and I, and clearly there's going to be some differences here, which makes it much more interesting. So we will have a running tracker, obviously, starting next week. We'll see how both of us do.
And I have something that I'm going to add to that when we're done here. Just to add a little flavor to it.
We always like some spice, and nobody brings the spice like the Pro Football Demon. And also, guys, I see you have a lot of questions in the chat. If you don't know, we're doing overtime just on Pro Football Demon's channel right after this. So any questions you have, feel free to put them in the chat now, but we're going to start a new stream immediately after, and that'll go as long as we've got questions and things to discuss. This show is 30 minutes. Go over to Pro Football Demon. We'll have a live stream, just the two of us, just answering your questions. All right, let's go over to my Miami Dolphins, who are favored at home against the New England Patriots by 3.5 points. this was actually one of the tougher ones for me to pick, which the Dolphins usually are. The way I see it, I'm just very low on the Patriots in general. I think we saw that. My initial thoughts in the preseason and training camp, these reports of the Patriots offense not looking good and getting dominated in joint practices with other teams. I'm kind of buying the hype on the changes they made with Tyreek Hill, with that offensive line, with Mike McDaniel. And I could see the Dolphins winning by more than 4 points. You?
Yeah, I think I would go Miami here. I have no faith in what New England's offense is going to do. I mean, we're hearing all these reports out of New England that it looks bad. It is a bad situation. So I don't know that they're going to be able to move the ball. I don't think Miami's defense will be as good as it was with Brian Flores, but they still have some nice playmakers on that defense. So I don't think they'll be set themselves back too far. And again, New England lost some playmakers on their defense. So I'm pretty interested to see how their defense holds up against what could be something of an explosive passing game. We don't know, but
no J.C. Jackson, no Dante Hightower. They didn't replace those guys,
right? And I do like the big question mark for me with Miami is the quarterback situation. Tua is not bad; he is hyper accurate. Let's see what he can do, but I feel confident in picking Miami.
Yeah, I'm just obviously more excited about this game than most of the games as a Dolphins fan. I want to see what this looks like. It's been a lot of speculation. Is McDaniel able to replicate what Shanahan does? He's been working with Shanahan for like a decade. This isn't a guy who coached with him for a couple years. He followed him from previous destinations. Is he able to replicate that kind of zone run, scheming up open receivers, run after the catch style that the 49ers do? If they do, when you've got Jalen Waddle, who is trending towards playing, when you got receiver or running back out of the backfield like Chase Edmonds, who is trending towards playing. Oh, and by the way, you also have the most dangerous weapon in the NFL in Tyreek Hill. I really want to see what this is going to look like. I can't wait to watch tomorrow. That's why I'm confident. And I'm glad that you agree with me on Miami. Our timer froze. I was trying to time it so that it ended at 15. And I'm going to guess we're at halftime.
Probably.
So I'm going to go on a limb and say the internet froze for our producer Anthony. So hey, it's halftime. Ding. As always, guys, make sure to check out Legit Football. We're still going strong 5 days a week. I'll keep this short. LegitFootball.com. In your email address, get the top stories. So we're going to pick the top stories from what you need to know of the games, of the news, of the injuries. LegitFootball.com, 100% free, direct to your email. Where can we find the Pro Football Demon?
You can find the Pro Football Demon on TikTok, YouTube. I live tweet during football games. Brian and I were going back and forth last night. Had a little fun. So follow me on all those platforms.
A Jets fan and a Fins fan had to put this comment up from our longtime friend at this point, Takaido Luna. Thanks, Takaido. All right, so I guess I'm gonna set a timer on my phone. Okay. Give me some. Oh. My producer Anthony, this is fun. Live show. His power went out.
All right. Well,
his power went out.
You want me to sing a little while you set your timer? Because I have a beautiful singing voice. I don't know if I ever told you.
Why don't you tell me the thing you were going to do at the end?
Okay,
you're going to tease something. Yeah, let's hear that.
We have the bet going on. If you've been following us, if Joe Flacco starts 5 games for the Jets, I have to buy a Tom Brady New England Patriots jersey and wear it in one of my TikTok skits. If at the end of the season Daniel Jones gets dealt to or just gets signed by the Miami Dolphins, he has to buy a Daniel Jones Miami Dolphins jersey and wear it in 2 episodes. I say we double down. We go double or nothing.
Oh, okay? Let's hear it.
So whoever at the end of the season wins, whatever we do here, we're keeping track of it. You either, if I win, I don't have to do anything, even if you win the Joe Flacco bet. But then you can double up on your punishment for me.
So if I win both, if Flacco starts 5 and I beat you in the picks.
Yes.
All right. So I don't have to come up with the answer. And I can next week.
That doesn't even have to be next week. It can be. You can take your time with this. But we will.
How about this? How about suggestions from the listeners and viewers? Why don't you guys let us know? You can hit, obviously you can put in the comments here. You can reach out to either of us on Twitter. I'm at _legitfootball. You can email me, Brian at legitfootball.com. Give me suggestions on what I can make the punishment, because I'm going to beat this guy in the picks.
And listen, Takaido, I am not tattooing anything on myself.
Yes, so. Within reason. Very, very important point, within reason. It looks like Anthony is back. which is good because I had the 15 minutes ready, but I don't want to do the timer. I produced it last night. I really didn't like it. So, Anthony, are you ready to actually start the timer so we can get on to the second half here? This is going to be like 38 minutes of football.
38 minutes of football. There we go. Anthony's got a little slow motion lag there too. That's nice.
Yeah, so we will track. So what we'll do is at the beginning of each Friday episode, we'll go over our picks from last week. So we'll go over and we'll do our ongoing season-long record so that we know at the end of the season who wins and who wins these various bets. So make sure to give us some ideas on that. The timer went out. I thought we were ready to start the second half. Anthony, we're ready when you are. This is like the Ravens 49ers power going out of the Super Bowl. Okay,
here we go.
We're on to the second half. So this is a game I'm excited to discuss. Jacksonville Jaguars, the Doug Peterson experiment begins in Jacksonville at the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are favored by 3.5 at home. I actually really like Jacksonville in this game. This is one of my more confident picks. I'd like Jacksonville to win this game, which means I definitely like them to cover that 3.5. The Commanders actually had one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL last year. We've seen what Doug Peterson can do with a quarterback of Wentz's stature. Though you can call it the Wentz Peterson Bowl. When he was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, he had Wentz on an MVP trajectory. Now he gets with the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence. They added a lot of pieces. Travis Etienne is healthy. I just really think Jacksonville is going to come out and make a statement in this game against a very inferior Washington team. This was an easy pick for me. How about you?
Yeah, same for me. I think we're going to see a different Jacksonville team. Doug Peterson-led Jacksonville team. I think they're going to be able to move the ball fairly easily. Washington, Carson Wentz is going to be Carson Wentz. I'm hearing they're going to give Antonio Gibson a lot of carries, and all of a sudden Ron Rivera is acting as if he has faith in Antonio Gibson, and we know he doesn't. So Antonio Gibson has trouble holding on to the ball. He has trouble staying up when he gets a contact. So I have zero faith in what this Washington offense can do. Jacksonville's defense isn't that bad. So, I feel pretty confident with Jacksonville.
Yeah, no Chase Young on the Washington side, so they're not even at full strength on the offense or defensive side of the ball. I love this pick. Let's go on to the San Francisco 49ers. I know we have some 49ers fans. We always do because I'm a weekly guest on the 49ers Rush podcast. So San Francisco favored by 7.5 on the road at the Chicago Bears. That's a high spread. I believe looking at this, that is the highest spread of the week, and I'm betting it. I'm going 7.5 spread. It is not necessarily a reflection of Trey Lance specifically. I think Shanahan is going to go run heavy. I think Lance won't have to do much. I think the Chicago team is actually possibly the worst roster in the NFL right now. They have no help along the offensive line. The biggest key in this game is the pass rush for San Francisco going up against probably the 32nd ranked offensive line. Justin Fields is going to be running for his life, and he doesn't have weapons. Outside of Darnell Mooney and maybe Cole Kmet, doesn't have weapons. So I just think this was an easy one to pick. I'm picking the Niners to win and to cover.
Yeah, that's such a high spread, too. I'm surprised that I feel so confident with picking San Francisco. I think their defense could actually get in the end zone. Like you said, Trey Lance isn't going to have to do much. There's going to be ball control. They have playmakers on that offense anyway. I know George Kittle's going to be out. I forgot who their backup tight end was. He played for the Jets last season. I can't remember his name. But it's a journeyman. They'll be fine. San Francisco will be fine.
All right, let's go Carolina Panthers. The Baker Mayfield revenge game. I almost said Sam Darnold revenge game, and that doesn't make sense. He had his revenge last year. That was last year. So we've got Carolina at home against the Jacoby Brissett-led Cleveland Browns. Carolina favored by 2.5. This is one of the games I'm just excited to watch. I'm not saying I'm the biggest Baker Mayfield fan, and you might not be either, Rich, but we can both agree Cleveland absolutely screwed him, right? Yeah. And he ends up in Carolina going up against a far inferior, but I think we can also agree that Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. There's just a lot of negativity surrounding this Browns team. It's at home. Baker's going to be pumped. Carolina to win and Carolina to cover the 2.5.
I think I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one.
Really?
I want Carolina to win. I want to see Baker go against Cleveland and beat him, but I think his emotions are going to be so high. Maybe he can get in his head a little bit if things start to go bad. Do
you think the Browns are going to win straight up?
I think the Browns will win. Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think he can get in his head a little bit. I mean, remember this Cleveland Browns defense isn't bad, and this Cleveland Browns defense is pretty good. Other than Jacoby Brissett, who isn't an unknown at quarterback, They still have weapons. They have a heck of a run game. They have that offensive line. I think Cleveland can overpower them. And yeah, this one's pretty easy for me, actually.
Oh,
and Christian McCaffrey's already on the injury report. I mean, could we see a scenario where in the first quarter he's on the bench?
Yeah, we did mention that last night. CMC didn't even make it a full week. Didn't even play a game until getting on the injury report. I love that we are different on so many picks. This is not going to be one of those that's off by 1 or 2. Love it. All right, Houston Texans at home. Actually, this is actually the biggest point spread. 8.5-point underdogs to the Colts. This is another one of those, like the Seattle-Denver game, where I am not picking Houston to win. But this is a division game. I think Houston's going to be better than people think. I'm really excited about Davis Mills. Damian Pierce is the running back one. What a big upgrade there. Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins. I like the Colts. I've got them winning this division, but I just don't see Houston at home losing by 8.5 or more, like 9 points. So I'm picking Houston to cover, but the Colts to win.
This is another game where I think we can see a 10-point victory with Indianapolis. With Matt Ryan quarterbacking, again, good offensive line. This is the best offensive line he's had in a long time. He's got weapons. He's got a great running game. Their defense is good. They're well coached. I can see them easily handling Houston, although I do think Houston will be – I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think they will be. I just think Indianapolis is a team that is going to easily make it to the playoffs. I think they're going to be somewhat formidable this year, so I think they'll handle Houston fairly easily.
I think we've only agreed on like 3 picks at this point, which is much better for content, much better for entertainment. And guys, we did not, as always, we didn't prep any of this. He had no idea what my picks were. We're winging it. We just have very differing opinions, and that's one of the reasons I like bringing Rich on the show. Let's go to popular Super Bowl favorite now, apparently, Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Hard Knocks darling Detroit Lions. This is at Detroit. Philadelphia favored to win by 4.5. Anthony, sorry to say, I think this will be an entertaining game, but the Eagles are just one of those teams that, at least on paper, they probably made more improvements to their team than any other roster. We don't have to say they're the best team, but they made more improvements to their team, a team that made the playoffs a year ago, going up against a Detroit team who I really like their offense. I think the home crowd is going to be pumped. It's already standing room only in Detroit. But I've got question marks on their defense, and I just think this Eagles offense is going to look great, and the Eagles defense is going to look great. They're going to win the war in the trenches. I've got the Eagles winning and covering. What about you?
I have the Eagles winning, but not covering. I think this game will be close. I think Detroit, like I said, Detroit was
you're on the Lions. You have the Lions as a playoff team. So
Detroit was the best bad team that I saw play last season. I think they're going to keep it close. They're going to, like I said, I think Philadelphia will win, but I see it by a field goal, if anything. So I think Detroit covers.
All right, let's go over to the AFC West. Los Angeles Chargers, who I picked to win the West and go to the AFC Championship game and lose to the Buffalo Bills that we saw dominate last night. At home against the Las Vegas Raiders. They're favored by 3.5. I am picking them to win and to cover. I actually think this is going to be kind of a shootout. My biggest question mark with the Raiders is their offensive line and their defense outside of their pass rush. The Chargers have a much better offensive line than the Rams do, so I don't think we're going to kind of see it offset the way that game was last night, but I think both teams can score some points. I'm very eager to see all the additions the Chargers made, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which is why I have them winning probably more in like the 6 to 7 point range, but this is definitely one of those games I'm excited to watch.
I'm going with the Raiders and the points. Like you said, I think it's going to be a close game.
Are you purposely just like waiting to see what? And then I'm going to go the opposite. I'd be fine if you are. I'm just trying to be clear.
No, okay. Definitely not. I'm going to give you my reasoning right now. I think it's going to be a close game. Last season, Derek Carter was phenomenal in the fourth quarter. Derek Carr was phenomenal in the fourth
Derek
quarter.
Quarter. I kind of like that name.
Derek Quarter is what I was calling him.
Derek fourth quarter. Love it.
But, I do think this could come down to a field goal. It's that half a point that's pushing me over to the Raiders side. But, I think the Raiders will cover that. I think the Chargers could win, but I think the Raiders will cover it.
I will say this was one of the pools that I'm in, 7 pools and 12 fantasy leagues, but one of the pools is a confidence league. So you pick from 16 to 1 how confident you are with the games. And this was one of my less confident games for the spread specifically. So I'm like you.
Is that what you're?
No, I don't backtrack. I'm just giving the audience some context. So if you are using our information. If you're using these picks to make your own picks and you're betting on those, I want to give them all the information to make smart decisions so they don't come and blame me later. So the Chargers, while I'm sticking with my Chargers picks to cover, they were not one of the most confident picks. So if you're wavering or you want to go with the Raiders and listen to Rich, I would totally understand that. This game, I think I know where you're going with this, and I predict it will be a line. So I've got Minnesota, who is Green Bay's favorite on the road by 1.5. I actually think the Vikings will win this game, which means they're going to cover the 1.5. I know how you feel about Minnesota and Green Bay, but I'm going to let you kind of expand on that.
I'm going to take Minnesota. I think their offense is going to click this season. I think they're going to be able to score. I don't want to say at will. Green Bay's defense is good. I think they're going to have a better time, an easier time scoring against Green Bay's defense than Green Bay will have scoring against them, because Green Bay has a whole new set of receivers. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers' mood is going to be when if things start going south early. He is not a good play from behind quarterback. Never has been. So, yeah, I like Minnesota pretty confidently with this.
I'm going to quickly bring up a comment from Thomas Crawford about the confidence value idea. Yes, let's do that. I'm not going to have time on this show. Maybe I'll share that on the overtime. So if you go to Pro Football Demons channel, we'll be starting live probably a couple minutes after this show ends. But going forward on this Friday show, since I'm already doing a confidence thing, it's really easy for me to just share both. So I love that. I'll give you guys a confidence confidence number value for each game, so you can kind of take that context. Thanks, Thomas, for asking for that. Last thought on the Vikings. We mentioned, both of us agreed Kirk Cousins might be a surprise MVP. I think we've mentioned the Vikings as a surprise team. John Chapman, shout out to 49ers Rush again, he mentioned the Vikings as a surprise team. If this Kevin O'Connell thing works, if he's able to replicate some of that McVay magic, I think this is going to be a team that everybody's talking about after September. So follow the Vikings. If it works, Justin Jefferson could be the top wide receiver. This could be a really fun team to watch. We're both in agreement there. Tennessee Titans playing the New York Giants at home. Tennessee is favored by 6.5 points. This was confidence index. This is one of the lower ones, not because I don't think Tennessee will win, but I'm not that confident in the Titans in general. So to give them a full touchdown over the Giants was tough. At the end of the day, Vrabel's a fantastic coach. Brian Daboll on the Giants side, brand new coaching staff. Love him as an offensive coordinator, his first head coaching job. And Tennessee is just a much better roster, even with the loss of A.J. Brown. So I went with Tennessee to win and cover.
Okay, so the Giants are getting 6.5 this game? Is that
yes, correct. 6. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Titans are favored by 6.5. It is in Tennessee.
Okay, so this is a tough one. Yeah, my confidence meter isn't too high on this. The Titans still have Derrick Henry, who early in the season with fresh legs could run all over that Giants defense. This one's tough for me, but I'm going to go Tennessee. I don't have much faith in the Giants. The Giants, it's weird because the Giants have playmakers on offense. If you look at their offense,
right, they
aside
do.
From Daniel Jones, you'd be like, wow, it's a pretty good offense, but it's the Daniel Jones factor that just irks me. I don't think they're going to be able to – I don't think he's going to be able to make that offense work. And Mike Vrabel is a fantastic coach. So, yeah, I'm going to go Tennessee.
All right, so let's go to the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Chiefs favored by 3.5. This was actually one of my higher confidence values, even before we found out about the fact that J.J. Watt is not practicing because of an injury, and the fact that Zach Ertz is not practicing because of an injury. And, oh, by the way, Rondale Moore injured his hamstring and is looking likely to miss week 1. Oh, and they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. I was already going to smash the 3.5, as they say. I'm even more confident now. I just think that Andy Reid, and I know you feel differently about the Chiefs, but I think that this is a way for Andy Reid, who is notorious for being great in week 1 and after buys and all that, because he's got enough time to game plan, going up against the Cardinals defense that I don't think is very good, lost their top pass rusher in Chandler Jones. J.J. Watt is it's trending towards not playing. I just think Reid is going to show what he can do without Tyreek Hill. What about you?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident with Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be a bloodbath like you mentioned last night, but I do think they will win pretty handily. I think this is going to be fool's gold for Chiefs fans. They're going to be like, oh, look at the Chiefs. They're awesome. Yeah. They beat Arizona. And then we're going to see who the Chiefs really are once they have to play their division and some teams that aren't beaten up.
All right, so we've got one final game and exactly a minute left. Rich, we're really good at this. We're like naturally getting this timing. We're perfect. We know what we're doing. We're professionals. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is Sunday Night Football. Traveling to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Bucks favored by 1.5. A little low in my opinion, which is why I'm confidently picking the Bucks to win and to cover that spread. Your thoughts quickly with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, super confident in Tampa Bay. Dallas's O-line is a mess. Dak Prescott without Amari Cooper, his numbers are horrible. An aging Zeke Elliott, an aging overpaid Zeke Elliott. I don't have much confidence in Dallas. And, you have Tom Brady on the other side of the ball. So.
Right. I've mentioned in a previous show, the reason Dallas, their defense was so good had a lot to do with turnovers. That doesn't tend to translate year to year. I think the Bucks will be able to move the ball really easily against this Cowboys defense, and the Cowboys don't have the same weapons on offense with a much reduced offensive line against that great Bucks defense. Bucks
and penalties, Dallas and their penalties.
Dallas and their penalties. All right, so I got to say, Takedo Luna called us out, delay a game, because he says we went over 30 minutes because the clock froze. No, we kept halftime longer, yes, but I'm gonna challenge. I don't know if you can challenge a penalty, but I'm gonna challenge that penalty. Guys, if you want to keep the conversation going, this is 30 minutes of football. We got to stick to 30-ish minutes. We're gonna go over to Pro Football Demon, talk some overtime. We'll just keep it open-ended. We don't have a script or agenda for that. Just give us some questions. We'll kind of talk some football. Rich, thanks as always for joining me. Let's hop on over to your channel. For those just listening on the podcast, thanks for tuning in. If you ever want to watch this live, these are always live on YouTube, on my LinkedIn, if you guys do the whole LinkedIn thing, on Twitter, and on Pro Football Demons YouTube as well. Thanks, guys, for listening and watching. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. Join us on Overtime. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.